What is up, developers? Welcome back to another tutorial. Today we're going to be building an automatic chat reviewer in Ruby on Rails. So I'm going to generate a new Rails app with Rails new, and I'll call it Good Chat. Then let's cd into the Good Chat project and open it up in our editor. And I'm going to run a migration, Rails-G scaffold, or I'm going to generate a scaffold of comments. And they're going to have a status, which is string. They're going to have name and email. And they're going to have content, which will be of type text. Next, let's run Rails DB migrate. I'm going to go to config and set the root in routes to comments index. Then let's do Rails S and open your browser. And then I'll go to localhost 3000. Let's make a new comment. And another one. And then I'm going to do some basic CSS styling. So let's go to app assets, style sheets, application.css, and make a comment container class. Give it a border, which will be solid, border radius, and then margin and padding, and then width will be max content. And then let's copy that class name, and I'm going to apply this in the views comments index, where it's looping through each comment and rendering them. I'm going to wrap that in a div with that class. And then if we refresh, we can see that worked. And then I'm also going to look up a font. And let's look up font family, and I'm going to use this one. Let's go to add that to the root. And then I'm also going to turn the status into a badge. Let's go to the comment template and apply the class to the status here. I'll call it status dash badge. Let's make that class. I'm going to copy some of the ideas here and then just modify them a little bit. Let's do a little bit of margin, a little bit of padding, and then a width. And then let's give it a color. Okay, great. So CSS is all good. Next thing I'm going to do is let's add some code that will review the comment. It will update the comment. So here in model, let's do after create, we'll do review comment, define view comment. We'll do self.update status, say reviewing, and then we can test that. Empty hello create, and you'll see it's reviewing. Okay, so that works. And then the next thing I want to set up is solid queue, which comes with Rails 8. So let's look up the README for solid queue. And then this link, how to set up in development. So if we go to our gem file, we can see that solid queue is included in Rails 8. So we can go ahead and start the configuration. You can do it in the same database, but it's cleaner actually to do it in a separate database. So let's apply this to our database.yaml, which will be in config, database.yaml. Right here, we'll add a YAML field and make this primary, and then add a new queue database. I'm going to save that. And then you have to add this to development RB. So environments, development RB. We're going to specify the queue adapter and the database connection for solid queue. and then we can run Rails DB prepare. And if we check storage, you'll see that development.sqlite is the existing SQLite database, and now there's a development queue added. So great. We just need to add one more thing here in the Puma config. We need to run SolidQ as a plugin in development. So let's go over to puma.rb and add or rails.env.development. All right. And then I also want the SolidQ dashboard because it's nice. So it's SolidQ mission control jobs. So we're gonna set this up. We're gonna grab this gem right here and then add it here and then run bundle install. And then we're gonna mount the jobs engine so that the view is available. So that's gonna be in your routes. And then we also need basic auth, which you can add to your Rails credentials. So we'll do editor, Rails credentials, edit -e dev, short for development. And this will open the encrypted credentials editor. And when we save it, it will encrypt the credentials. So let's just paste the mission control, dev secret, Control O to save, enter, Control X to exit. Okay, let's restart the server. Oh, you can actually see some logs for SolidQ already, but let's go to /jobs. You'll be prompted for authentication. It's dev secret. And then this is our jobs dashboard. Next, let's actually write some code that will review the comment in a job rather than in the model. So right here, that's where we're going to be enqueuing a job. And we can define our job here in app jobs. And then let's call it review comment job.rb and class review comment job inherits from application job. And then it needs a method called perform. And within here, you can pass arguments. So we're going to pass a comment as an argument. And then we're going to say comment.update status in review. And then in the model, instead of calling self.update, we're going to do review comment job.perform later self. So that will pass the comment into that job. Let's just test it out by going to make a new comment. And we'll say to be queued, just testing this, right? So if we refresh, we see it's in review. And if we go to mission control jobs, we can see finished jobs. It enqueued that review comment job. Great. So then we need to actually evaluate this with a model. So we're going to use the OpenAI API. So look up the OpenAI API and we're going to go to the API platform and you're going to log in, go to the API platform and create an account, load up some credits if you haven't already. And then we're going to go over to the dashboard and then API keys. And you're going to create a new API key. We'll call it the good chat key. Create that key. Copy. And then let's run that credentials editor again. And then below here, can I undo that? No, I can't. Okay. So I'm going to define a new YAML field. We'll say OpenAI. We'll say secret key. And then I paste that, Control O, save. And then we can access that if we start the Rails console. So for your application to access the credential within the runtime, you do rails.application.credentials.openai.secret key. So there it is. So we have the API key. Let's add the gem for Ruby OpenAI. This is a great helper library for interacting with the OpenAI API. So we're going to be initializing a client. So you'll see that this is the code we're going to be running. And we're also going to be using the responses API. And I won't go into detail like how to do everything here. I'm just going to show you what I did to implement this in my job. So let's go and add that to our gem file. And then run bundle install. And then let's go to our review comment job. And right here, let's remove that and save the comment as an instance variable on initialization. And we're also going to initialize a client. So we'll say OpenAI client.new access token. And then for that, it's what we ran just a moment ago, which is rails.application.credentials.openai.secret key. So now these variables are available in the class. So then the methods that we're going to be writing to review this comment will be a review comment with API method. We're going to have a handle a function call, which will be function call updates comment status. And then we'll do an optional cleanup method. So let's define a create response. This will return a response. And so this method is using client.responses.create. And then we're going to pass some parameters in here. Parameters. Model. And then input. Let's find that as a variable. The input will be commenter name and email. And it will be the comment content. So that's what we're going to pass to create a response. It's going to need some instructions. Review my comment. And then tools, which will be an array. And then we're going to say tool choice is required. So then we're going to call this right here and store the result in a variable response. And then for instructions and tools, we still need those. So let's go make that. Let's go to the OpenAI dashboard and go to assistance. This is just a helpful generator for tool definitions. So if you go to functions, you can generate a function and click this. It'll be a helper. And we'll say this function is called mark comment status. It runs after evaluating a comment and should mark the status to be public. Yeah, just the status. That's the parameter name. The possible status string values are good, hateful, spam, and undetermined. So let's create that. And then you can see there it generated the name and all the possible values into a JSON format. So let's define that up here. We'll call it the mark comment status tool. And I also found out in debugging, you have to do type function. And so then we're going to use that in the tool array right here. And then the tool choice required, and then instructions. We also need some instructions. I wrote some a moment ago. So I'm going to save some time by copy pasting. I'm going to say instructions. So as a summary, it just gives some instructions. You know, how do I know if the post is spam or the comment is spam? Then that's what you define as the criteria. And so I'm going to take that string, and then I'm going to pass it into instructions right here. And that's what we need to create the response. So then the next function we need is something to handle the function call. And it will take that response. And we grab the function call from the response output. So this will parse that response object, get us the output, and then function name can be gotten like so, and then function arguments can be gotten with a JSON parsing. So JSON.parse function call arguments. And then I'm going to add a validation, or it will raise an error, unknown function, and then function name, unless function name is mark comment status. So the tool call should be this. That's what we are basically enforcing here. And then we'll do, finally, we can do comment.update status function args status. And then there's that optional cleanup, right? So let's define that function. It will be the cleanup response. It'll take that response, and then deletion client.responses.delete response ID response ID. And then we'll raise an error if it didn't succeed. And then we'll just add some debugging here. Unless the deletion deleted. And this is a Boolean I checked before. So then we just need to make sure to call those. So handle function call right here. So we'll take in the response, and then we'll do cleanup response. Great, so I think we should test this out. Let's restart the server. And let's go and create a new comment with some example comments. All right, let's do it. So we'll say so this one. Let's refresh. And you see it was marked as good. Let's check the mission control dashboard. And we see that there's a finished job. yeah, so comment number 5 got reviewed, and I want to add some colors because I think it would be nice. So let's go to the application.css, and then let's define some CSS variables inside the status badge. We can call them status-good, status-hateful, and then status spam. And I'm just gonna have some fun with the colors here. All right, and then to use these CSS variables, let's go to the views, the comments, and the comment template, and set style equal to color status, and wrap that inside var. And we could say like status good, and that makes them all green, but we want to render based on the status. So we can run some Ruby in here and output the comment status as a string in here. And then let's try some other types of content, like another good one maybe? No, let's do a spammy one. So let's see how it gets marked. So it got marked as spam here. Yeah, we don't allow promoting or like advertising on our website here. So then maybe something hateful. So yeah, let's see how that goes. So that was marked as hateful, and so it's all working. I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial. I had a lot of fun building it, and I'll see you in the next video. See you later, developers.